Welcome to Identified.
I mean, we have like shared bank accounts, you know, it's like in a way it is like a marriage.
Mm-hmm. But you're also the emergency contact for every single thing that I ever sign up for. Go to the doctor.
It honestly does feel more familial than friendship.
Yeah, we're like siblings.
And sometimes people ask us if we're siblings, which is so funny. I'm like, what kind of gross trick do you think our parents played on us to name us both Sarah?
It's a really weird mind fuck. Like people just like stop thinking. I don't know why. How is that possible?
Hello, I'm Nabil Ayers, author, music executive, and host of Identified, the podcast that delves deep into the complex world of family and identity. In this episode, my guests are chefs and restaurateurs Sara Kramer and Sara Hymanson. A business can feel like a family. Sara and Sara first met early in their careers when they worked in the same Brooklyn shop. They later reconnected as chefs, then moved to Los Angeles where they opened the James Beard Award-nominated and very delicious restaurant, Kismet. In our conversation, Sara and Sara discuss how their mother's cooking informed their culinary taste, and how it's not unusual for their business partnership to sometimes feel familial. Their new book, Kismet, is more than just a cookbook. It's the culmination of many years spent together in the kitchen. It's a document of their friendship and how the relationship has developed over the years. Stay tuned to learn what family means to Sara and Sara.
Family's complicated. I would say that my family's no exception, and that food was always a sort of central gathering point. It was really like the only way for my family, I think, to experience joy together, and probably I would say like as a unit that still remains true to this day. So I think that was like a really easy way for my development to crystallize around the idea that like, oh, food like equals joy. Food is something that I enjoy, you know, providing for people, enjoy like partaking in. And it's like a very like simple sort of like line from growing up to that connection, but somehow you never like really realize that until after you're in it and like you're doing it for a while and you're like, oh, why am I doing this very hard thing that really started from something quite simple where you're like, oh, food's so wonderful. But it is also so much more than that as well. But yeah, on the family front, I would say that that was probably like the nexus point.
Yeah, I mean, similarly, my family, we weren't all that close. When I was growing up, my brother and I were always out. My father was always working. And pretty much the only time we spent together was eating, enjoying food out. Because I grew up in Chicago, and so we'd always go to lots of fun restaurants. My mom cooked every night, but I wouldn't say it was like a thing that she absolutely loved, but it was like certainly a nurturing element.
Yeah. Did you like what she cooked? And did you like the fact that you all ate together, or were those?
So we didn't.
Oh.
Actually, we didn't eat together most of the time, but we actually, I think when I was in high school, my parents tried to figure out how to get us all to be together. And so we would eat together once a week on Sundays.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciated my mom cooking, and I did like it. We had a lot of lentil soup, which is delicious.
I love lentil soup.
I made lentil soup last night. But similarly to Sara, I think when I was young, I wasn't really thinking about food in that way. Like I wasn't thinking about how that was like the place where we all connected and found joy, but certainly since leaving, it's very clear that's what my family does together.
Right. And did you look forward to the Sundays, or was it like, that's the day I don't get to go out for pizza?
No, I looked forward to it. Also because we would go out. We'd go to like this place called Flat Top Grill, which is like a Mongolian barbecue kind of place.
Mongolian barbecue. Everything you're saying. So
we had one of those too. Yeah.
Oh my god.
The big round thing and the flames.
So this one
like
was
the bar where you get everything, all the little things.
But my brother and I were such assholes, and you know, it was like an unlimited.
Yeah. So we would pile.
No. So we would just make.
Well,
this is so me. We would just make like 5 different tiny stir fries. Because I like wanted to try different combinations. And it'd be like 3 vegetables.
Right, that's the chef in you.
But also so annoying for the cook.
In college, there was a Mongolian grill. This is in Tacoma, Washington, which is like sort of working class town. And we would go, and this is when it was like $7.95 all you can eat.
Yeah, I think it was that too.
We would bring Ziploc bags.
Oh my God.
wow.
And like scoop and take it to go and then go back up and get more food.
Yeah.
Mongolian grill.
Yeah. I feel a little bad saying my family wasn't close, but we just like didn't spend a lot of time together. We were all just
So your mom would cook every day, but that was like your dad would come home and he would eat, and you would come home from school and you would eat. So there was always something there, but it wasn't a meal together.
But it was kind of the unifying thread.
Right, because you have to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we all ate the same thing, just separately.
Did you grow up with like a big Thanksgiving dinner or a big Christmas dinner or any sort of holidays or traditions like that were centered around food?
We had Friday nights, like Shabbat. We like did that every single week, which was like a source of pleasure and ire, because the food was always really good. Unlike Sarah's mom, my mom's a very good cook. So it was really, really lucky in that way. And, important to me, I think, to learn from her, and food became important to me in a different way because of how good her food was. And so we would have Friday night dinners, but as a young person, especially as a teenager, you're like, you feel like you're in jail if you have to.
Like Friday night, right?
Yeah. Did you have to go every Friday night?
Yeah.
Wow.
Could you go out after, or was that like?
Yeah. I could go out after, and sometimes I could skip it, but not often. But Thanksgiving in particular was a tricky one because it would always be at my dad's sister's house, and they are not cooks, and they would like cater the turkey from like the supermarket, and it was always like my family being like why, when my mom makes like the best Thanksgiving ever, being like, why do we have to go there and eat coleslaw again? It was so awful. But it was also like in and out. It was like a 2-hour affair where like everyone acknowledged what it was. I think they were like, all right, eat your things and get it. Right. And it was someone's birthday always. So it was also like the perfunctory like birthday song and the like candles. And then we're like, okay, and now we're going to go eat a different meal.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't think that we had there were always like the different Jewish holidays, like
a lot of good food holidays.
Yeah, a lot of good food holidays with like the various, and also those holidays are really, for us anyway, about the food and less about the other traditions and mostly about the food.
I mean, for everyone.
Right.
We're most Jews in America.
Sure, but there are lots of people who actually go to temple and whatnot. That was not us.
Right.
We like very much were like, okay, we came for latkes.
Right. Oh, latkes.
Yeah. we show up for latkes.
Yeah. I'm curious to take it to you two as business partners, and who, I don't know the whole backstory, so maybe you can get into it, but did you meet when you worked together in New York, or how did you first meet, and how did we end up where we are?
Well, we met when we overlapped working in this space in Brooklyn. It was the Meat Hook and the Brooklyn Kitchen. It was like a kitchen supply store with a butcher shop.
The old one with like kind of weird entry.
The ramp. Yep. It was a summer. And I was working for the Brooklyn Kitchen, and Sarah was working for the Meat Hook. And there was like one day where we crossed over pretty much, and I was like stickering kitchen utensils, and Sarah was slicing coleslaw.
I was like, slicing
my favorite activity. Cabbage for coleslaw. Yeah.
You can slice coleslaw?
Slicing cabbage for coleslaw.
But like bus tubs of cabbage
for the concerts at
the waterfront.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the like Williamsburg waterfront.
On Wythe or whatever.
Yeah, I forget who, like Pavement.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. I can remember probably this actual day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after that, I was like, I'm going to leave. I was there for maybe 3 months. I was like, I'm going to go work at Blue Hill as a cook. And I had heard that Sarah had previously worked there. And I was like, I'm going to go work at Blue Hill. See you later.
And I was like, good luck.
And I was like, nice thing to say. Yeah, sure.
I was like, I didn't know that she had been a cook at all. I'd only known her in the context of being like a sticker girl.
Right.
I was like, oh, that's a really hard place to work. And also, a challenge for many reasons. And I was just like, oh, well, genuinely good luck. But also we had never had any conversation at all. And all she comes up to me to say is like, I'm going to go work at this place. I'm like, all right, good luck. And that was the end of the conversation.
So that's round one.
And she was like, what a bitch.
Yeah. I was like, all right, fine. I had a great time. A few years later, after I'd worked at Blue Hill, after I'd worked at Mission Chinese, and gone back to Blue Hill, blah, 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 blah. I was trying to decide where I wanted to work, and Sara had just opened Glassery in Greenpoint. And I went in to eat, and someone who had worked with us both was working at Glassery and recognized me.
Yeah, and like came into the kitchen being like, do you remember that girl?
I had really short hair at the time. When we
kind of looked like Peter Pan.
had like short hair
What a
and
nice thing to
undercut.
say.
Yeah, I know, so nice.
She always wears really high-waisted things, and she's like got a very tight little body. She had like short Peter Pan haircut.
This is what you were saying, or this is what your friend is saying?
We may have had this conversation, I don't know. Okay. But you've acknowledged it.
Yeah, well, there are worse ways to look. I'll take it.
Sounds like you nailed it. Yeah.
It's great. I don't know.
And anyway, I loved the food, and I was trailing around trying to decide where I wanted to be, and I was...
Yeah, you can.
That's how it happened.
Yeah, I was like desperate. I was really...
It was like 3 months in.
Yeah, it was like I
just opened.
Had like lost the first sous chef already. It was like just me and one line cook, and then the dishwasher left, and so we were just like doing all of it, and I was really, really, really struggling. And Sara came in, obviously having just worked at Mission Chinese Food in Blue Hill, and I was like, okay, this person must really know how to cook.
But you remembered her from...
I did remember her, yeah. Just barely, but I did remember her. But I have a bad memory.
She does. Actually, you have a good memory for some things.
It's very,
You have a good memory for people, actually. And names. You're very good at that.
Sometimes. It really, yeah, but you've also seen me make insane mistakes. Sometimes I really like do a shot in the dark and it is wrong.
It's confidence, though.
It's really embarrassing is what it is. But yeah, I did remember you, and I mostly was just desperate, and she was like, seemed interested, and I was like, please come and work with me. I'm absolutely desperate. And it took some convincing, and it took a little while. But
it was fun.
Yeah.
And we were there together for...
like 9 months, I think.
Really? I think it was less.
Oh, I left. Yeah.
Before me.
Yeah. Yeah, it may have been like us together there for 6 months.
And then I was there for like maybe another month or something.
Yeah, I think I was there for like a total of 10 months, I think. It wasn't quite a year. I was interested in moving out here, and I had just visited, and I was like, we have like a good working dynamic, and felt like we had some like creative alignment, and was like, I would really love if you wanted to move to LA with me. Have you considered it? And she was like, absolutely not. I have not considered it.
Yeah. Like, I've never thought about that ever.
Right. You were Chicago to New York.
Yeah, I went to college in between.
Right.
And I just was such a New Yorker.
Right. LA is not New York.
New Yorker. Yeah. I'm super pale. I should not be in the sun.
The produce.
But the
What about
produce.
those avocados?
That was definitely part of it.
Yeah. And also when we visited together, and I really just had no idea what LA was all about. And when we visited, and I realized that it was like a real city with a lot of diversity, and like in areas that felt very urban,
right.
Then I was like, oh, this actually maybe is someplace I could live.
Mm-hmm.
And like locally grown kiwis in the
Yeah,
winter.
Right,
yeah. We made a dinner for a friend, and I remember we made a dish that was kiwis with goat cheese.
Yeah. It's never seen the light of day since. But
Didn't go over well at the party.
No, well, actually, the farm grew kiwis and had goats and goat cheese.
Oh, so you were doing like full-on local.
farm specific.
No,
100 feet.
Yes.
Whatever rule. Yeah.
Yeah. That farm used to bring baby goats to the market every week.
Wow.
it was the baby goats that I think sold you on LA.
Oh my God.
I have a photo of when we visited here together of her holding one of the baby goats.
Is that when we visited? I thought that was once we'd moved.
No, it was when we visited.
And then it peed on me.
When we visited.
To try to reenact
Fully,
that. Where's that
yeah.
Maybe it peed on you a different time. I don't remember that.
So then you moved out here.
So then we
at the same,
just
together,
moved out here together.
With the plan
Yeah.
of opening a restaurant.
Yeah, like a psychotic plan where we knew nothing and
We're
nobody
27.
and had no money, and we were like, we announced to the media, like
Luckily, we had media,
through
though.
a Bon Appetit dinner, because we had left Glassery, and that was like a bit of a
Yeah,
to-do.
yeah.
And we were like, we're gonna do this dinner at Bon Appetit, and they were like, do you have an announcement for us? And we're like, sure.
We're going to do a dinner.
Yeah, they were like, no, we were like, we're gonna open a falafel shop and a restaurant in LA.
We're going to open 2 restaurants in one big space, and it's going to be a casual place in the front and a more
I don't think
sit down.
We didn't specify that. That was just what we wanted. We were just like, we're going to open 2 restaurants in LA. And we had no idea how to do that.
Right.
It was an insane thing to announce.
But that confidence is what actually got us our opportunity at the Grand Central Market.
Right. And that's, I mean, I remember very well the night we met was at a dinner party.
Was that when we...
It was after.
I don't remember Kiwi goat cheese that night.
I think we were already here.
But it was, you were here.
This was at Amanda's also, though.
Also at Amanda's. Same, because I think that was like maybe a women's only dinner.
Yeah, I think I was the only man there somehow.
Oh, yeah, maybe so.
But we just ended up talking. And I think someone mentioned that you came out from New York. And the way that I remember it and the way I tell it is you were like, we just moved out from New York. We were both at Glassery. We're going to open a vegetable forward falafel shop in Grand Central Market. And I was like, ding, 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 like tick every box. And I said, oh, are you looking for investors? And then I invested in Matt Capra and everything was great. So I'm curious, there is, and I mean, and the answer could easily be no, but it does feel very much the way you sort of, you know each other very well. You finish each other's sentences. You've worked together for a long time.
Yeah, it's been a decade.
10 years.
Does it feel familial to you?
Yeah, I mean, we have like shared bank accounts, it's like in a way it is like a marriage.
Mm-hmm.
But you're also the emergency contact for every single thing that I ever sign up for. And I go to the doctor.
It honestly does feel more familial than friendship.
Yeah, we're like siblings.
Yeah.
Right, and you're in some ways.
And sometimes people ask us if we're siblings, which is so funny. I'm like, what kind of gross trick do you think our parents played on us to name us both Sarah?
It's a really weird mind fuck. Like people just like stop thinking. I don't know why. How is that possible?
That is pretty funny.
It's very funny. Yeah. Every time I'm like, no.
What do you mean?
Right. But the bank account thing, the multiple locations now thing. I mean, you know, a married couple might have a house or, a child, obviously, or something but like in a way you have more assets than a family might have or than a couple might have, even though not.
Yeah. We are entangled in all the ways, pretty much.
We have 120 employees.
We have 120 children.
There you go. Right. Can you name them all? Not now, but just could you name them all?
Almost.
Many of them.
Many of them
we know very well.
Some have probably been there for a long time.
A lot of them, some of them have been working with us since falafel.
We have one employee who's been working with us for 8 years, and then 7 and many for 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
Several for 7 because a lot of them have been there since Kismet opening. Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
I mean,
so those people are also our family. Mm-hmm. I would say they're certainly our employees, but I do feel like we have a level of intimacy and interconnectedness.
But it is also kind of like a funny familial relationship in that they are also boundaried because I feel like you have more boundaries in family relationships, at least in my experience, and maybe I'm just speaking for me personally, than you do in friendships. I think like there are boundaries in friendships for sure, but I feel like I am able to let more intimacy in my friendships and my chosen people. And in family relationships, I'm like, okay, here's what I can divulge. Here's what I can allow in order to like be able to interact with these people.
That's certainly the case for both of us in our families. Yeah. In our particular
And not to say that we don't love them, but that it's like for the health of this relationship, there are boundaries.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. There's always things.
Love my family, but...
Right. Are you going to tell everybody everything you're thinking all the time?
No, that's just also not the way my family or your family works.
Certainly not.
Right. Yeah.
I think another reason why we work well together is because of some vaguely similar family dynamics.
Did you grow up in big families, small families?
You have a brother. I have a brother and a sister.
Okay.
Yeah, my family is very small. Like I had one set of grandparents and some cousins, but we didn't really see each other. Like you have family that's closer and more family.
I have a lot of family. Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm that close to most of them.
Right.
I wish I were. It feels very hard. Everyone's everywhere. I have like family all over. Like my mother was born in Peru. Her father is Peruvian, but by way of like Jewish diaspora, and her mother was Israeli. And so she moved from Peru to Israel. They all did when my mother was 12. And then her family all moved to, like her immediate family all moved to Panama when her sister married a Panamanian man. So all of my mother's close family lives in Panama with all of their kids and grandkids. My mom's the only one who ended up in the States besides one cousin, the rest of whom are scattered everywhere, including Toronto and Spain and lots of places.
So not people you get to see.
No, everyone's everywhere.
Yeah. And you don't have people all over the place. You have the small unit.
Yeah, I have a very small family.
Yeah.
But I'm really close to my brother.
What's the age difference?
2.5 years.
Oh yeah, that's normal.
And my whole family's in New York. My parents and my brother.
Oh wow. Yeah. You got to come back.
I know.
Kismet, New York.
But I was always the kind of person that, I forget the name, there's a name for it. I always attached myself to other people's families. Mm-hmm. Like I wouldn't go home during breaks in college, or like I never could leave New York.
Right.
Because I was working all the time. Maybe I'd have one day off and I would be with other people's families for holidays. Right. And I have like a lot of closeness with other people's parents, which feels nice.
I get that though. I mean, I remember not in high school because I wouldn't trust anyone's parents, but in college, I remember really well meeting friends' parents, like, you know, going to someone for Thanksgiving or something like that, meeting their mom and actually having like, in some ways, a deeper conversation with them than I might with my own mother because there are things I was just wouldn't want to tell my mother for fear that she would worry or things like that. And not like terrible things, but just things that it weirdly felt like I could like tear down this wall because no one's going to tell anyone anything. And here's this person who's asking me questions like that. I think that's a thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What is family to you?
I mean, I think like a pretty simply for me is like people who show up for each other. It like might not be the most joyful relationship you've ever had in your life. And typically it's like comes with some complexity. But I do think it's like the obligation one feels to another person to like show up in important moments. I feel like that's not a particularly romantic way to describe family, but I do feel like if I had to distill my feeling about it into like one concept, that would be it for me, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a very good description. People who show up for one another. You know, like as a queer person, there's also this idea of chosen family. Like a lot of people that really don't have family deciding who they want to be the people that they depend on. And, you know, you can't always choose those people. It's It's a decision that people make together, a nonverbal decision. But for me, it's been people who I guess like there's this idea that you can go to someone when you're not at your best and feel like you won't be judged or feel at least comfortable enough to be in that state. So yes, people who show up for you, but also people who can be with you when you're not at your best.
Right. Yeah. It's similar to what I sort of have learned and what I'm thinking about in my life, which is really just sort of like almost just like an agreement, like whether or not it's someone I'm related to or that I'm not related to, but somehow we're connected and find this thing in common. Really, it's that we both have agreed to sort of commit to this. And I guess that's the chosen family piece. But really that like that's what's ended up sort of solidifying for me recently is that, this agreement that we both feel like we're family. We both think we are. And so I guess we are.
Yeah, we're in it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be, I have people who I don't talk to for years and years and years, and I know they have my back. Mm-hmm.
The book also feels like it's sort of like a culmination of like, especially in the writing of it, like we did a lot of like looking back over the last 10 years and like the development of our relationship, the development of like how we've gotten to here. And so it just felt like sort of this culmination of being able to like be like, oh, wow, look at all of this time we've spent together, all of these things we've experienced, the ways in which we do sort of feel like family, the ways in which like it feels nice to reflect upon that, the ways in which it feels complex to reflect upon that, and like to have a vehicle to distill it all while also trying to keep it like fun and light and cookable.
Right. So it's almost, the book is like a document of those years and of the experience and of your relationship.
Yeah, of like how we got here.
Very much so.
Thanks for tuning in. Please consider subscribing to Identified wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss an episode. And be sure to check out Identified on YouTube and identifiedpod.com, where you can watch videos from our interviews. Our executive producer is Kieron Banerji, and the show is produced by Palm Tree Island. The music for Identified is by Noella and Patricia Brennan. I'm Nabil Ayers. Thanks for tuning in.